what other issues have been overlooked due to COVID-19.
I don't know whether it's overlooked or whether we've realized that everybody has a contribution to make to the economy, from, nurses and physicians, the medical staff, but, people who work at Sobeys and Superstore, and the hairdressers, and people who do the turnarounds, the rotational workers. So we should be more cognizant of the fact that it hurts some people. If you're, like we are, retired and depend on our income and things that we've invested over the years, it doesn't hurt us as much. But it hurts a lot of people, and those are the ones that I feel the most empathy for.
The economic ramifications of having a huge public debt. I don't know if you're going to sit there and ponder about it, but it's going to have long-term ramifications. They never saw it coming, and they didn't know how much you're going to spend, and now that it's out there, who's going to pay for it? I mean, I'm pretty old, so it's going to be the generation behind me. They don't realize it, but they're going to. It'll stop some things that were probably going to go ahead. That's the part that I don't think is out there.
Climate change, that's a big one. And now, of course, it'll be, we don't have the money to do anything about it because of COVID. So it's going to be a convenient excuse for not putting money where we need to.
The environment, of course, and employment. Businesses, small businesses that are struggling. I think that should be the focus, the prime focus. Employment.
It's not overlooked, but because of the small business closures, we're seeing a lot of places just permanently shut down. And I don't know if they're still doing those $40,000 loans, but if they're not, they should really keep doing that and make sure that small businesses can keep moving, so it's not just Walmart at the end of this. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I guess I'm not seeing a lot of meaningful change when it comes to reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. I hear a lot of talk about it. I don't see a lot of concrete action. So I think that's kind of taken a back burner.
I think the government's trying to get as many as they can going properly, but there's too much interference and opposition from some of the other parties to make it work properly. They should fall in line and help, not criticize.
Yeah, there's nothing. I guess that's the main item on everybody's agenda right now, so anything else would be secondary.
There's probably things that are being overlooked, I'm not really sure, but they're pretty much primarily focused on COVID. So it's kind of hard for them to do everything at once, I would say. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I've heard people with disabilities, with blindness or deafness, have been struggling a lot and have been kind of overlooked by the government because they're not really sure how to help them deal with COVID and social distancing when they face those disabilities as well.
The federal government, I think they're overlooking sanity. They're overlooking the fact there is no science to defend their position that we have to stay indoors. This masking, and I think that they're overlooking the fact that people are starting to cotton on to what's really going on. It's actually a globalist attempt to take over all of our cultures to do this globalist agenda, and I'm against that.
Yeah, I think that you might call it domestic violence, but I think women in rough positions, support for mothers, single moms, and women at home and women in difficult situations, I think they always come out last, and the same thing's happening with the pandemic. And I want the federal government and the provincial government to really bring up their awareness on that.
I don't know if anything is being overlooked, but I operate an income tax preparation business. And so much of what the federal response has been back of the envelope sort of stuff. It hasn't been thought through. Just yesterday I was looking at some of my clients who are brain injured people. And half a dozen of them had applied for the CERB. None of them were eligible. but they got it paid. Now they're going to have a massive debt they'll probably never get out of. So a little more thought, less back of the envelope would certainly work.
I think the pandemic has sometimes given us a kind of easy out on issues that are outstanding and have been there before the plague and will be there after the plague. Things like post-secondary education, where we have fallen into the trap of like really relying on international education to fund our post-secondary education. Well, in the olden days, Mr. Pearson said we should have public education, meaning funded by public money. Well, yabba dabba doo, here's our opportunity, let's do that.